Hello, everyone, and welcome to Uncultured, the movie podcast for people who think The Matrix is a maths problem. I'm Cameron.
And I'm Josh.
And today, for our 14th episode in February, we have the wonderful, wonderful Valentine's Day movie, Love Actually, right?
I love that you introduce it not knowing, like, what the film... Like, it could be terrible. It could actually be a low-key slasher film. You don't know.
I'm actually assuming it's terrible, and I hope it's a slasher film because someone told me Hugh Grant's in it, and I really, really want to see that guy catch a knife.
I think a lot of people would like that. That's actually funny that you mention Hugh Grant because, of course, avid listeners of the podcast will remember when our friend Torsten came on for Four Weddings and a Funeral. We shit-talked Hugh Grant a lot, and when I mentioned that we would be watching Love Actually, that was one of the first things he said, and he was like, you should get me on again, and we can shit-talk him, and it'd be great. And, but yeah, Love Actually, it's great. It's actually a Christmas film, but we picked it for it being more of a Valentine's thing, right?
Yeah.
You're just like, it's got to have a lot of love in it. It's got love in the title.
That's it.
Yeah, okay, so Love Actually. Cameron, what do you know about this film?
Okay, so the usual structure of this show is I know nothing about the movie we come in, but what's been happening is I tell people what movie we're going to watch, and they feed me bits. And I'm like,
oh,
shut
get
up.
fucked.
I'm like, shut up. So I'll say, hey, we're doing Love Actually, and they go, oh, it's a really good. I go, no.
Yeah.
The bits I got thrown at me
Okay.
were, why are you doing this for the Valentine's Day episode? You're an idiot. This is a Christmas movie. That's the first bit.
Oh, good. Okay. The first time I mentioned, oh, we're doing Love Actually, like, Mum said to me, that's a Christmas film. And I was like, oh, yeah?
So the second one was Hugh Grant was in the movie. Disappointing.
Just to hear that he was in the film?
Yeah, but the third piece made it better. They said there are, like, tons of different stories, and any character you don't like is not in the movie that long. So, well, I'm not a huge fan of Valentine's Day in general, or of rom-coms. So
Yeah.
I'm hoping this one's good.
I feel like it would be really sweet if there was a sort of, I think it's that Korean anti-Valentine's Day.
What is
Have
this?
you heard of it?
No.
It's like, so granted I don't know too much about it and I forget the name of it, but it does have a specific name. But it's basically like anti-Valentine's Day. For anyone who, you know, is single and sad, whatever, you know, you can, I think there's two versions. One basically involves a lot of like dyed black food.
Okay.
And it's just like, it's very visceral, sad food, and it's kind of amazing. Like when KFC did that black bun thing with the squid ink or whatever. It's a lot of stuff like that, but it's also just like, yeah, whatever, eat some food, be sad. That's okay. Like,
Wow.
I kind of like that there's that, and it's like, yeah, you don't have to be fucking happy and content all the time. I've recently been rewatching the show Vikings, and there's this part in it where Ragnar, the main character, says to his son, he's like, who told you had to be happy all the time? And then the kid's just like, what? Like his world is kind of just like really rumbled up in that episode. And I feel like that's pretty true. Like eating black food and being sad.
You know what would be the best food to eat on that day?
What?
A soup. Because your tears like fall into the soup and it's like nothing ever
Oh
happened.
yeah, the chefs
like
don't
nothing
actually
ever
season that soup. And your enjoyment is based on how seasoned it is, based on how fucking sad and salty your tears are.
Maybe they just bring you the bowl.
Yeah, they just bring you a bowl and they're like, it's a reverse soup. Cry, bitch.
It'll be full soon enough.
Yeah. Just give it time. It'll grow. All right, so Love Actually. Do you know anything else about the film? Like,
Those are
have
the
you
things. That's
seen
everything.
any? There's not really much pop culture shit to really
All right, so Rick Grimes is
inform
in
you.
it.
Rick Grimes?
from Walking Dead is in this movie. He's probably not yelling Carl.
Coral! Yep, he's in that.
That's everything.
There's a lot of other characters. I don't really want to say too much in case, I don't know, it gives it away. But this is one of those films that I think when I first saw it was like begrudgingly watched probably around Christmas, around the time it came out. And it was one of those films that I found myself as a young, I think, teenager. I don't know what year this film came out. I feel like it's 2007. But I found myself actually I was like, this is a cute film. Like, this is enjoyable. There's like a little something for everyone. It's got that classic, British comedy kind of like, it's not necessarily all this really slapstick shenaniganry that we see from like American rom-com sort of things. But there is a little bit of that in there regardless. But yeah, there's some cool stuff.
Speaking of Christmas, I'm actually kind of a Christmas Grinch because my family loves to watch the carols and I sit there for like 20 minutes and I'm out. There are no good Christmas carols. None of them have musical value.
Sure. I feel like I like it when someone busts out like a modern thing. They're like, yeah, so we just wrote this song that's kind of Christmas flavored. We're going to call it a carol.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like those.
Actually, there is one.
It's Mariah Carey.
No. I'm so sick of that album and I only hear it once a year.
Oh, God.
Last year, Spotify put out a version of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer by DMX.
Was it just him barking?
It's fantastic, yes.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, check that out. Christmassy.
Check out DMX Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer.
You sound like you've never done Christmas before.
No. Rudolph. You're also making fun of me if I had a speech impediment.
But you don't, so I can make fun of you.
I know, yeah. I'll give you that. Yeah, look, I over Christmas / like a little bit before Christmas started a new job, and it involved doing sound for a lot of Christmas carol events.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel you.
Yeah.
On the kind of hating on carols and things like that.
Which is the worst carol in your mind?
Look, I think the funniest thing is when someone makes an event that, you know, they want kids to get into it. Like, I feel like kids are the key to Christmas, right?
Sure.
For having a good time at a carols event, right? You want kids to be singing along and running around and being merry and shit. But, you know, as well, parents, sure, you also want them to be happy. But the funniest thing is when an event organizer thinks it's a sick idea to bust out, like, a really sort of obscure one. Like, okay, I'm probably going to, like, mispronounce the shit out of it, but there's a line where it's like, Old King Wenceslas.
That was what I was going to say. Old King Wenceslas.
Wenceslas.
It's the worst one because no one can pronounce it.
Yeah,
and no one knows
like,
that song.
And if the kid sees that, if you're, like... I'm going to say, shit, okay, I'm 25, you're a similar age, we've got it, but because, well, I didn't have it till just then, you see that and you can have a crack at it, but as a kid, you're seeing that, your brain shuts down, you're just like, ugh, like, give me sugar or something, like, it just reverts back to something else. There's no participation from that kid after that point.
I actually have the reverse, because I was in a choir as a kid. I did carol shows. I did like carols, not by candlelight, but I did carols in the town hall. So I knew all the words to Old King Wenceslas, but I don't remember any of it anymore because it's valueless as a song.
I feel like you were incredibly vindicated in being a Christmas Grinch then. Yeah, Love Actually. It's going to be a cracker, Cameron. You're not going to hate things after all.
I would be very excited to not hate this movie.
Yeah. What if I told you that Liam Neeson was in it?
Oh, it's awesome. I'm in.
Nice. What if I told you that Bill Nye was in it? No, like Nye.
Oh, the science guy?
No.
What?
No,
Who's
no.
this?
Is it Bill Nye?
Oh,
British
yeah.
dude.
I think
I think it's Bill Nye as well.
Yeah, I like the science
Philip
guy better.
Nye?
I don't know anything he's ever been in, but I can picture his face.
I'm resisting the urge really hard to sing like his Christmas song to you that's in this.
No, don't.
I'm not going to do it, but you'll know exactly what I mean when it comes up.
Okay.
Without further ado, I think it's time to segue gently to our snack of the week.
Exactly. And my favorite thing about this segment, now that we don't do the show weekly, is that we still call it Snack of the Week.
Fuck!
But we're not changing the music.
We're not going to call it Snack of the Month. That's dumb. Snack of the Week!
Yeah.
All right, Cameron, you made a big deal about this one. Something about an oven. He sent me a message and was like, do you have a drill? So I'm like a little bit worried. I was like, motherfucker, if I have to whip out some spade bits to crack open a coconut, fuck you.
There was a drill bit involved, but you'll be surprised. Close your eyes.
Oh my God. All right, I'm closing my eyes. I'm also drinking this coffee next to me.
Why don't you explain to people, once you've had a mouthful of coffee, how this segment works?
Okay, so basically, the idea, I guess, is that Cameron and I take it in turns to provide some sort of sustenance, whether it be liquid or solid food, make it vaguely related to the film that we're watching of the episode, and whoever provides it is in charge of, setting it all up and basically feeding that first bite to someone, and the person who didn't provide it has to keep their eyes closed until they've guessed what it is. And also, like, its importance to the film. Like, if we can guess what the theme is.
It's a Valentine's Day episode. Here is the snack of the week.
Oh, God. I'm getting some chalk orange vibes. Less chalk, more orange. There's a soft biscuit of some variety.
You're basically, you are straight on. It is a Jaffa cake.
Oh, a Jaffa cake.
Yeah, from the UK. A typical Valentine's Day gift, chocolate. right?
Oh, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, God. That was loud.
This is the drill.
This is the
I
drill.
have the drill. Don't make any sudden moves. Drink of the week.
Oh, the Jaffa Cake's really thrown the taste of that off as to what it could be.
Has it?
In the way that, like, eating chocolate, then having, like, a drink, you're like, oh, that's weird.
Any idea what it is?
Oh, look, it's a Bundaberg-shaped bottle.
I am scared by how accurate you are.
So it's... I feel like it's one of their... it's not the lemonade one. It's probably that raspberry one. See, that's what... The Jaffa Cake's really thrown it as to what it actually is. It's the passion fruit thing.
No, it's a creaming soda.
Oh, it is the creaming soda. Okay.
And this was chosen because red, Valentine's Day. Right?
Because red.
I know nothing about this movie. I'm
Love
very
it.
limited.
This is so good.
All right. This is the first time in Snack of the Week history you're going to try it with your eyes open.
Okay.
I need you, when I tell you, open your eyes and tell me what you see in front of you.
Okay.
Go.
Jesus. This, okay. Cameron's, he's on one knee and he's got a ring. It's a bit weird. No, he hasn't.
Look, baby.
He has, bacon roses. That's pretty excellent.
All right.
I mean, sweet hell, man.
So, I want you to try one of these bacon roses.
How do I do it? I pluck the rose head off?
Pluck it straight off.
Nice.
You co-sign this?
I co-sign bacon.
It is
And-
essentially
and-
just bacon.
And definitely applaud your fucking effort.
There we go. So Valentine's Day, I brought you chocolate, flowers, and some dope creaming soda.
And red.
Yeah, some bread.
That was great.
To be honest, most of the effort went into the bacon roses. Everything else was like, need a pretense.
I fuck with that, man. That's pretty good. What did it need the drill for? Was that just misdirection?
No, I actually needed a drill.
For what?
In order to make these, I had to get a mini muffin pan, right?
Yeah.
And I curled up the bacon and I oven baked it inside the mini muffin pan.
Yeah.
But to get the grease to drain, I had to drill holes through each individual thing, because otherwise the grease ruins the shape.
That's really interesting. You fucking nailed this, man. Yeah. Good job.
All right.
I'm gonna cry. No, I'm just like, fuck, I gotta do something wild for, I don't know, Gladiator.
And we're going to get this movie started. See you soon.
Alright, Cameron, that was Love Actually. How do you feel?
That was long, actually. I was like, okay, this movie's wrapping up. No, 45 minutes left.
I feel like we probably said the same thing about 4 Weddings and a Funeral. Do you think it's just a UK film thing? Like British comedy?
It could be.
Rom-com?
Let's talk about this. Did they hire just every single actor in the UK at that time?
Everyone who was, crushing it.
And everyone who wasn't. There were some people in there I've never seen before.
Maybe that's the same with a lot of films. There's probably people in films that you haven't seen before.
But having said that, I haven't seen a lot of people.
That's so weird. It's almost like it's sort of like the concept of the podcast. Yeah, look, overall, aside from it being long, what do you think of the story arcs that there were multiple of?
So the general story of this movie is there are 8 couples and they all have different love situations and then they all meet at a surprisingly capable school performance, right?
Surprisingly capable.
These people have actual musical talent. I mean, the kids on screen didn't, but whoever did
Yeah.
the actual music behind it, really good.
Yeah, I mean, that's effectively it. It sort of starts how it finishes, doing the classic, film technique where you sort of start and end to tie your story together, make people feel like there was a nice bit of a conclusion happening. And there sort of was in the story arcs just in general.
Literally everyone but Rick Grimes got someone. Rick Grimes was there like, yep, third wheeling.
That's so true, but he did say enough.
Yeah.
That was enough for him. Yeah, it's these sort of films where I do kind of like flip-flop. They're like mushy person inside me comes out and it's just like, oh, that's kind of sweet. But then also like you have to take a step back and have like a critical look. We're going to assume that you, dear listener, have seen the film. And so we don't have to go through and go through all of the couples. But there are definitely some that, let's say, are a little bit more conventional. Oh, they're all pretty fucking conventional. They're all hetero relationships. They're all more or less between, people who everything's sort of fine. The worst that happens is there's some cheating, theoretically. Emotional cheating? There's emotional cheating.
So let's just dive into one of the relationship. Liam Neeson
Oh yeah, Liam Neeson's one.
It is so weird to see him in a movie.
No, it's actually just weird to see him with a family. He's
Yeah.
like, "What do you mean they're not dead? What's what's your driving fucking care factor, man?"
That was what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
It's weird seeing him in a movie with a family member who is dead and not killing people. I was just
Yeah.
waiting for the bodies to drop. I was like, Hugh Grant.
Yeah, you're just like, please take a swing. Yeah, no, so Liam Neeson's story arc, I forget the name of his character, but basically his wife's just died, obviously sad time, and he has his, I think he mentions it's his stepson, but that's not really mentioned as a thing until like right at the very end of the arc.
Liam Neeson's stepson has a crush on a girl at school. He's like, oh, she doesn't know me. And Liam Neeson's like, alright. And so the kid says, I've got a plan. I'm gonna join the band and she's gonna have to know me. And so he learns to play the drums, like, really badly. And they go on stage. Oh, she already left. So they run to the airport.
Yep.
And
Oh yeah, because of course this girl and her family are going back to the US to live after, I'm talking the night of the performance.
yeah, exactly, right afterwards.
Yeah.
And so they rush to the airport and he's there and she goes through customs and they say, sorry, you can't come through. And at the start of the movie, they had said this was post 9/11. So they referenced 9/11. And this kid's like, you know what would be a great idea? While everyone's in a heightened state of alert, let's try and slip through airport security and run after some lady.
Yeah, let's go bolting through the airport and hope to God no one shoots me.
So yeah, he doesn't get shot. I guess that's, for the better. But I sound so reluctant to say that. Some kid didn't get shot. But he outruns the entire security of an airport.
It's like that one video of, I think it's a random mall in Russia or something, where a guy literally just hoons a car through this entire mall, and of course it's all slippery and icy and evades the security guards.
Yeah, how are you not outrunning a 10-year-old kid? I mean, 10-year-old kids are fast, but they don't have the pace. Like, they can't do it
they
over long
have short
distances.
legs. They can't do much. Like how?
Houseway.
Yeah, exactly. But like Cameron said, the film opens up by talking about, it's post 9/11, about how it's actually sort of narrated, opening, I guess, by our favourite actor, Hugh Grant, who's actually the Prime Minister of the UK in this film, talking about how, when he's feeling a bit upset, he just goes to the arrivals gate at Heathrow and you can see the love everywhere there, and then mentions that, the 9/11 happened and that all the messages coming from people on the planes were not of hate but of love, and that if we look, love is everywhere. And then at the end of the film, it basically mirrors the scene, not of 9/11, but of people at an arrivals gate being all cheery and happy and lovey and stuff.
That's kind of disrespectful to me. I was at the memorial in New York.
Yeah.
And I heard some of those messages. I'm not sure I'd classify them as messages of love. They are like 90% people deathly afraid for their life, crying.
Yeah. It's really trying to ride on the coattails of, a really bad thing that happened for this film.
Yeah,
but I mean, they don't really come back to it and make it like a super important thing, but he's basically just trying to say that arrivals gates are good because it's generally a happy time when someone who has been gone for a while or a short time arrives and you see them again. Like, it could have been done without that message.
I understand why you might tie it in there. I just, it feels weird to me.
Sure, yeah. That's an interesting way to look at it. And not something that you immediately think of. And I suppose that's what I'm talking about with, like, you have that one-sided thing, which is like, oh, that's kind of a nice message, mushy, but then you have to, like, critically look at it, which is sort of what we do here a little bit anyway. Where you have to put a critical glance on everything that's going on and what's in the storyline and in the language used. And, yeah, it's one of those things that could definitely be, a little bit offensive, or at the very least, not tactful, I suppose.
Yeah, I'm not outraged that they put it in. I just it feels weird.
Yeah, sure. It's like, well, does that need to be there?
Speaking of Hugh Grant, this movie pulled a minor miracle. He was kind of likable.
Yeah, he wasn't like a total smarmy piece of shit. I mean, sure, like, he still had his face and stuff.
They didn't give him plastic surgery, unfortunately. So.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, he was the Prime Minister, newly appointed, I guess we could say.
Newly elected.
Elected, that's it. And the love arc for him is between Hugh Grant, Prime Minister, and his new head of catering services, named Natalie. She, brings him snacks and stuff. Her character is a bit more like that of a personal assistant.
Mm.
is what it seems like.
Speaking of the snacks, I want to let
Of
you
the snack
get a
variety.
good run at this, right?
Yeah.
Because Josh is trained as an industrial designer.
Okay, yep.
So he gets... sometimes I watch things and I go, that's not how computers work.
Yeah, yeah.
So Josh had a moment here where a tray came in and Josh turned to me and he's like, that looks like something they made on set.
Yeah, it was really bizarre, actually. So, in one of the scenes, obviously, this character, Natalie, is bringing Hugh Grant a little tray of cookies or whatever, and some tea and biscuits, because that's very English, but it's served on a tray.
Mm-hmm.
And she puts the tray down, it's like, oh, you know, there's some banter, which of course is important, but I'm staring at this tray, and it looks like something must have cobbled together on set, which often happens. I'm not, like, saying these guys are pissants or something like that for doing that. But it was just really funny because it looked like, you know, some pieces of wood someone had jigsawed together and then had like riveted or screwed some random pieces of aluminium angle on as like the handles, and it just looked super shonky when you paused it and went like, oh yeah, like I've seen that piece that piece of aluminium that people use for like step edges, you know. That's an interesting way to do that kind of thing.
And you go, they want me to believe this is what the Prime Minister's using.
Yeah, nothing but the finest in number 10 Downing Street. Yeah, okay, so we have Martin Freeman and Joanna Page. They're professional body doubles for films. That's their story arc, is that they are doing some body doubling for some nude scenes. So it's a little bit, I don't know, I guess you could say disarming to be like humping and then just like small chit-chats about the weather and things like that.
So for people like me who probably haven't seen the movie and don't know what body doubling is.
Oh yeah, okay, so if you have a famous person who costs a lot to have on set, you might hire someone who doesn't cost a lot to have on set. So you can set up lighting and other things, or if it is straight up like the famous person doesn't want to get nude, or it costs too much to get them nude, you might hire someone who's like, I don't mind nudity and I cost less to be nude. They'll do that and then just do some nice close framed shots and then just make like it was the same famous person being nude.
Would you want veto power if you're a famous person and they got a body double in? You go, nah, that guy's shoulders are trash.
Oh, I think they 100% have the ability to do that. It depends like I've heard all sorts of, you know, shenanigans go down in terms of like an agent or the actual actor or actress themselves just vetoing a shot or how something was handled or how it was edited, you know, and there's all sorts of contract shit that'd go down too between, you know, in the actual negotiating of a film contract or whatever. I get to say, you know, if my scenes, I get the final cut of that. I mean, I doubt that would happen often, but it also wouldn't surprise me. Anyway, so body doubling, that's what that is. We have, Martin Freeman and Joanna Page play the characters John and Judy. That's their arc. There's a lot of sort of weird things that aren't necessarily, I don't know, the whole film can't just be like love arc content stuff. Like, so in the Prime Minister's arc, we have him dealing with Billy Bob Thornton as the US president. He's a massive sleazebag, tries to, you know, be a bit lecherous with Natalie or whatever, and that causes Hugh Grant to get like a bit cheesed off and sort of divorce the US, is what it seemed like. Or like, so, I don't know, shirt front, I suppose that would be called.
Basically, the Prime Minister likes his head of catering.
Yeah.
And the president kisses her. And
or is very close.
Hugh Grant's at the press conference, like, you know what, US is pretty not great. We're not going to take anything from them anymore. You make sure they feel the impact of our actions.
Yeah. So, I mean, they were talking about something nondescript that they never really covered. And sort of rightly so. This is a dumb rom-com, not a political drama. So you have that to think about as well. They kept things suitably vague in a lot of areas, which is kind of funny. One thing I noticed about this film, and this is, I mean, I feel like only people in places that don't really experience white Christmases will sort of get, is that there's something special about a white Christmas. Is that I feel like for a lot of the world, you know, a lot of the content and stuff and the music is based around a white Christmas. But here in Australia, our Christmas happens during our summer and it's unbearably hot sometimes. Like I think at the moment while we're recording this, it's about 38 degrees outside.
Celsius.
Celsius, yeah. 38 degrees Celsius, that's important. I think that works out to be what, 130?
It works
Fahrenheit?
out to be very hot in Fahrenheit.
Yeah, very hot in Fahrenheit. During Christmas, when you hear songs that is like the weather outside is frightful or we're cozying up by a fire, it's just not what you want to hear. Yeah, there's something special about a white Christmas, definitely. Oh yeah, much like Four Weddings and a Funeral, everyone knows everyone.
Mm.
We live in one of the smaller states in Australia. Sometimes people say there's 2 degrees of separation rather than the 6 for knowing everybody in the state.
Except for Josh. Like, the second I go anywhere with Josh, he's got about 20 different people that are like, oh, I know you from this thing, and it's great. And I'm like, oh, I just wanted to get some, like, KFC.
Fuck this guy.
Let me keep walking.
Yeah,
You know?
no dice, no dice.
We had a good dig at a terrible Christmas Carol before the movie. Good
Oh.
King Wenceslas.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, what do we find in this movie?
Well, we find basically, I think the only carol that characters in it are actually singing is that song, that carol.
Good King Wenceslas. Oh, and at the end, All I Want for Christmas Is You, sung by a 10-year-old girl.
Yeah, okay, but is that a Christmas carol?
Oh, if you ask my home, if you ask my parents, it is. I'm
Yeah.
sick of hearing it.
Fair enough. Good excuse to crank up some Mariah Carey, I guess. One thing that we noticed when we were watching this film is that a lot of the relationships that, I don't know, form happen between an authority figure and a subordinate to a degree.
Yeah.
Some, of course, are free from that, i.e. the 2 10-year-old kids.
Okay.
Or we could argue that one is the lead singer and thus has more clout in the band than the drummer. And therefore,
But he can keep a 4-4.
yeah, it's like, as long as you keep count, man, I don't care. Like, of course, we have the Prime Minister and his head of catering / PA, Natalie. He actually uses a bit of his his prime ministerial resources to basically go find her. At one point, she goes, hey, I live on the dodgy end of this street or whatever. And that's all the information he has. And, he just kind of goes and drives to that street and knocks on every single door till he finds it. So we have this story arc between Alan Rickman, his wife, and his new secretary, Mia. There's a little arc there where Mia's basically flirting ridiculously heavy with him, and Alan Rickman kind of goes with it for a bit, and then his wife's like, you made me look like a fool, and he's like, you're right, I'm a piece of shit. And it seems like they sort of reconcile at the end.
I feel like they only
thoughts?
reconcile because it's a romantic comedy. I feel like in real life that's done.
Yeah, like she's like, nah. But then also, like, stranger things have happened. I was saying that because of the type of film it is, it's there probably wouldn't be any shake-ups to, like, traditional, like, heteronormative, like, monogamous couples. Whereas, like, now, maybe if this same film was to be made, there'd be, like, some weird, chunky, like, thruples going on. A little bit more communication in that sort of field, and I don't know. It'd be interesting to see.
I mean, you say that, but the rock star and his manager, that's not the traditional, like,
but I don't
heterosexual...
I don't think that was a relationship so much.
No, but they're like, oh, look, there are other meanings of love. You can love someone you're not, like, relationship in love with.
Definitely.
Like, not romantically in love with.
Definitely, man. And I think that's also part of what the film was trying to do. Is show that it wasn't literally just, like, oh, date me, please, like, marry me, or... Even though there's a lot of that, and there's a fucking lot of that. We have Billy Mack, who's Bill Nye, not the science guy. Sorry, I had to just burst that bubble for you, man. He's like an old pop star trying to come back with this Christmas version of one of his popular songs. And throughout the film, he kind of bags on his manager, Joe, a lot. He calls him the ugliest man alive, my chubby manager, my fat manager, whatever. And he just kind of takes it on the chin. And, Billy Mack just really wants to be back on top. But then at the very end, he kind of, recants on that, turns up to Elton John's big Christmas party for 10 minutes or so. And then says, you know what, I actually, my manager's been with me through thick and thin. And I actually love that dude. And I think that's really nice. I love how initially, when Billy says to him, I actually love you, he's just like, oh man, it only took 10 minutes at Elton's to turn you really, really gay for me. And he was like, no, not that. And then it's like an awkward hug between these two old dudes. It's great.
It's totally the wrong strategy, though. If you're at Elton John's house and your manager's at home, surely you bring the manager to Elton John's house. You don't bring yourself to some, like, weird, crappy apartment.
Oh man, definitely.
You think Elton John was just like,
He's like, can I bring my manager? And Elton's like, nah, bro.
keep this guest list tight.
Yeah. It's Christmas. I can't just have everyone turning up. And one thing I mentioned is that Christmas movies what was it, Christmas movie specifically about being emotional leverage.
Yeah.
Just like in rom-coms, I guess, in general, Christmas is definitely used as negative emotional blackmail. Like, well, it's Christmas.
Yeah.
You gotta forgive me. Or Christmas Miracle. A lot of corny shit.
Yeah, there were some moments that were kind of like, oh, it's Christmas, therefore I should tell you I love you. And everyone's like, well, that's a normal human thing because it's Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or one was, it's Christmas and you should always tell the truth.
Therefore, I know I'm your husband's best friend, but I think you're really hot, etc., etc.
Well, I mean, it wasn't so much that. I feel like they specifically kept that one light because otherwise that would have turned really creepy. So I have this one story arc, which is between Rick Grimes, his best mate, and his new wife. Basically, Rick Grimes, on the surface, everyone thinks he hates the new wife, which is played by Keira Knightley. And that's actually not the case. He actually loves her a lot, but can't show that because it's a bit of self-preservation, he states later in the arc. But has no problems with just kind of like filming her all the time. I'm not sure if that was an all the time thing or it was just at their wedding. I hope to God it was just at their wedding. Yeah, but it'd be kind of funny. It was just like he filmed her like just on the reg, on the sly, like she's cooking dinner through the window, like no, and just some Keira Knightley side on through the window. Definitely would be weird. But then does the classic confessions of love quietly through signs on Christmas Eve, and I think you didn't really like that at all. You were just like, that's fucked.
It just seems really, really inappropriate to roll up to a newly married couple you're really good friends with signs and basically be like, hey, lie to your partner, look at these signs, you know, I think you're great, I'm not asking anything from you. And you're like, oh, he's not. He said he's not asking for anything. And I'm like, it's implied. It's,
Yeah, they have him sort of like just be okay with that. But because it was sort of like newly discovered, I feel like probably he felt like he had to explain himself a little bit. I'm happy being that dude in like the background, but also, weird like sort of implication to put on someone.
If this is like, assume it's not one of these characters that, you know, is kind of attractive, kind of endearing. Everything these guys are doing is hella creepy.
Well, I think that's a problem that a lot of people have with a lot of rom-coms. And like with a lot of romantic shit in general, is that if the other person, like if both people aren't into it, it's fucking awful. It's creepy.
Yeah, if you're not into a guy and he knocks on every building in your street.
Yeah, you're just like, who does that? Ah, psycho.
Now everyone knows this guy is looking for me.
Yeah, the Prime Minister's
like,
after so-and-so. And they're all just like, this is weird. We think it's very inappropriate. I feel like there's probably like a few that you could cherry pick bits from and be like, oh, that's kind of cute. Like, obviously, there's always going to be exceptions to rules and things like that. But I feel like for the most part, rom-coms in general have always been like, you know, if you really want to pick at them, problematic in a lot of ways. Whether it just be overtly creepy shit, like, let's look at fucking Twilight, man.
Oh, I'm not looking at that.
Actually, it's not that bad. I laughed at it a lot. Like, I mean, obviously bad film, bad writing, whatever, but humorous. A lot of humorous things in there. A lot of shit in there, just like, don't do anything Edward does. Oh yeah, this is great. There's a lot of these story arcs and the characters are intertwined. They're either in same families or it's like a mate or something. So Liam Neeson is related to Karen, who is Alan Rickman's wife in the movie, not in real life. And obviously Liam Neeson's calling Karen. He's just like, hey, I'm upset about my wife dying and you're my sister. I'm going to chat to you about it. She says to him, no one's ever going to shag you if you cry all the time. And I thought that was really funny. Like, there were a couple of times where they just, like, the way they viewed death was kind of interesting. He was like, yeah, it's sad and stuff. But then, like, at one point, Liam Neeson says to his kid, he calls him a motherless bastard at one point, and it's just like this, oh, you cheeky, like, like, it was just kind of a funny thing to hear. Like, it wasn't, you know, I mean, obviously there's not many deaths in this, you know, film at all, but there's that one there, and it's dealt with either way you look at it. It could potentially be this really, like, mean, insincere, like, oh man, you gotta give death a bit more gravitas, you know.
But some families are like that. My family's kind of like that. We make jokes out of everything.
Well, this is the thing. I feel like I would also be like that, but then also no one in my family. Oh, actually, my sister would get it, but like my mum and dad would just be like, "You disrespectful piece of shit." I feel like occasionally my dad, he'll jump between being like, like I've raised such a scamp. Yeah, such a scamp child, and And then he switches to fuck this family. I'm gonna murder suicide all of you. Like
I'm gonna take a third paternity test, I swear.
a third. Oh man. One of the story arcs.
Sorry.
Yeah, so one of the story arcs is based around this guy named Colin. His mate Tony tells him he's a thoroughly unlikable, ugly asshole, and that's why he can't get women. However, Colin says, no, it's because English women are stuck up. I'm just going to go to the States and I'm going to fuck a lot of people. That was his sort of goal, and he goes to the States and almost in an embarrassingly, I don't know, put together scene, is he goes to the first bar he can possibly go to after landing in Wisconsin of all places. And there are, you know, 3 hot girls who are just like, you're so adorable, your English accent, and do all the funny things that Colin said the girls would do. And it's just really cheesy.
Here's the thing you pointed out.
Yep.
While they're trying to get him back, they say, oh, we're very poor girls and we can't afford, you know, we can only afford one bed and we can't afford pajamas. And then they cut to their house and they have 12 billion Christmas lights on. And
Like,
Josh
it's
just
very
yells,
Christmassy.
this is why you can't afford a bed!
Yeah, that's why you can't afford fucking pajamas. Too busy fucking putting all your money into Christmas lights. And it was also like a 2-bed, like it was 2-story. Like it was a big house. I was expecting like a shit heap.
I mean, I think the easy answer to this is they were clearly lying and they clearly have more than one bed.
Yeah. It's super cheesy, and that was one of those, like, I don't know, it was cringy. Would you say cringy?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, at the very start of the movie, there's a guy wishing his wife, you know, farewell, he's going somewhere. And I said, basically, immediately, she's cheating on him, right?
Yeah.
And then...
Straight away.
10 minutes later, she's sleeping with his brother.
Yeah.
He goes to France and meets a Portuguese girl.
That's it.
Yep.
Well, we assume it's France, right?
They're speaking French.
Yeah. And then he's like, oh, yeah, this one speaks Portuguese. She speaks bad French, just like you. And the guy we're talking about is actually Colin Firth. Don't know the name of his character. But yeah, he goes to France to write.
Yeah, he goes to France to write his book.
It's pretty self-absorbed. Like, I need to get away from this. I'm going to go to my chateau.
Is it, though?
No, I don't know. It's just like a really... it's like a boring plot line.
Let me put this to you. You're married, for whatever reason. You've settled down. You come home and your sister's with your wife. Are you not going to be like, you know, I'm out of here. Like, I don't want to deal with any of you ever again.
Oh, sure. But I just mean, like, that classic storyline of, like, oh, I'm going to get away from it all and write a memoir or write a novel. Like, it's just kind of like a boring story arc.
I guess.
Like, one that I'm just like, oh, yeah, of course you did that. Like, I had no problems at all going like, oh, of course you're going to write a novel on a typewriter in the country, the French country specifically. Yeah, that's another one of the power play things we were talking about between, like, a person of authority and a subordinate, is that this story arc, he meets this Portuguese girl, Aurelia, and she's his housekeeper while he's there.
Essentially, yeah.
Yeah. This is actually one of the funnier endings of their arcs, is that Colin Firth, at his end of his time with Aurelia, he's like, this is really lovely, I'm going to miss you a lot. Of course, they don't really understand each other that well, but the body language is there, and I feel like they both get that. But Colin Firth goes back to England, does all the Christmas thing, goes to his family Christmas, turns up, and all the kids and extended family are like, oh, Jamie's here, Uncle Jamie's here, woo! And he literally steps over the threshold and he's like, yeah, I have to go, because I just decided I'm gonna marry Aurelia.
And all the kids yell, oh, I hate Uncle Jamie.
Yeah, I hate him now.
Stupid.
Yeah, fuck Uncle Jamie. Meanwhile, his brother, who fucked his wife, is there too. And like, as if you wouldn't punch on with a fella right after that. You see him, you're just like, I've been in France all this time. Fuck you. Like, all that hatred just comes boiling forth after that, I guess.
You probably punched him enough the first time, though, right?
Oh, I don't know. I've heard some pretty interesting stories around people who've like caught other people like cheating and stuff, and they've been like martial arts dudes, and then it's become like fucking battle royale, man. I don't know how true that sort of shit is, but it also wouldn't surprise me if you were training in martial arts and your friend was like, who also trained in a martial art, was like, you found them cheating, and then he's just like, all right, we're gonna punch on, I'm gonna hurt you a lot. You know, like, and then everyone just Krav Magas and dies by the end of it. Murder suicide.
So the wrap up of this one is he leaves his family, like you said. He flies to Portugal. He goes, hunts her down.
Somehow he knows where she's at.
Yeah, they find her working at a restaurant.
A local restaurant, yeah.
He proposes to her in kind of broken Portuguese, and the entire restaurant claps.
and then their little in-house band plays some music and happy times.
Yeah. I was at a restaurant when someone proposed.
And was it the one where it didn't actually go so well?
No, it went well.
Oh, okay, good. Was it like that? Was there lots of broken Portuguese?
No, it was weird. It was a Mexican restaurant in Texas.
Oh, yeah.
And we were there, I was eating, I was having a good time, and everyone gets quiet and everyone looks over, and I'm like, what's going on? And someone's on the knee, someone else is crying, and I go, alright, there's tasty food.
Yeah, yeah.
And it's weird.
It's where you held your fork of enchilada and you just like, cheers.
Everyone else shuts down, they're staring at these guys, there's a mariachi band playing, and everyone's crying, and I'm just sitting there like, can I get back to eating?
Well, you totally could, that's the thing.
And people do kind of clap, but it's a weird situation, not like that movie. Everyone's kind of losing it, cheering, and it's like, in real life, you just kind of want to go back to eating. You go, that's cool, alright.
You're like, sick, good on you, bro.
Can we wrap this up?
I need it to go. Actually, this is, I feel like in rom-coms a lot, there is frequently like a fish out of water culture shocky moment where basically the film creators can kind of do what they like with how, let's say, that culture would deal with something like that. For example, when Colin Firth goes to the father, he says, hi, obviously this is all in Portuguese. He goes, hi, I'm here to ask for your daughter's hand in marriage. And he just goes, yeah, okay, cool. And then calls the daughter. She comes in. He goes, but I've never seen him before. And it's the wrong daughter. It's the other daughter. He goes, why would you sell me to this man? He goes, I'm not gonna sell you. I'll pay him to take you. And this is kind of like haha thing. And then they go to find Aurelia, who's working nearby, and basically ragtags in the local community. And I feel like that's like a common thing I've seen in rom-coms of this nature.
Yeah.
Where it's just kind of like, yeah, everyone's involved, but it's like, would that happen? Or they just be like, oh, what's this big... it's like when someone yells fight or starts running in the city, like they're running to something, and everyone joins in. Like, how does that happen? Does it happen?
So, alright, let's put it this way. You see outside this window here, there's a whole bunch of people just marching down the street.
Yeah.
Are you like, I should join that? Or do you go, they're probably protesting something I don't want anything to do with?
I feel like I'd probably ask someone. But they might just be like, oh, there's no time, you gotta come see, and you just get swept up in it. I don't know. Basically, it's a ludicrous concept. However, that's why I'm saying is they kind of like maybe take some liberties, maybe not, I don't know, with whatever culture they're in this case, Portuguese.
So to kind of sum it all up, this is a pretty tolerable rom-com.
Yeah.
Rowan Atkinson was good. We didn't really cover him.
That's true. He plays a small role. We've learnt, thanks to Wikipedia, his name is Rufus.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a pedantic gift wrapper that kind of messes with Alan Rickman when he's trying to buy some stuff for his potential mistress.
Yeah, he's very slow. He does it on purpose to kind of mess with people. He does it twice. He wants to mess with someone and wants to help.
Yeah, at the very end, he helps the 10-year-old boy, Liam Neeson's stepkid, get past security by basically just being a nuisance with a bunch of coats.
So he really just wants to balance his karma. Clearly, someone kicked him in the shins or someone dented his car and he's like, I gotta make this right. How weird is it seeing some of these actors, if you'd seen this movie when it came out, you'd have a big history to draw from. But some of these characters, some of these actors, Liam Neeson, we know him for one type of role.
Yeah. Very serious, action-y, man of few words.
Andrew Lincoln, we only know him as Rick Grimes from The Walking Dead, only. Rowan Atkinson is Mr. Bean or Blackadder if you're lucky.
Yep.
And seeing them all in these different kind of roles seems off to me.
Yeah, out of that typecast.
Because you know them so well.
Yeah.
And I guess that's a generational thing, because some of the old people will be like, are we really going to take Liam Neeson seriously as someone who goes around killing people? Or,
Yeah, that's true. But then they also like flip that on its head by Liam Neeson being so well known for his Taken roles and The Grey, those sort of actiony, serious things, where they've done skits with Liam Neeson calling up his agent, being like, "Yeah, I want to be a comedian now," and it just being a humorous thing and being real deadpan serious. Like, "Yeah, I want to be a comedian. I want some family roles." Whereas, like, it's a thing he did and has done before. Is Alan Rickman forever Snape, or is he forever the villain from Die Hard? He had a lot of roles in between there, but like,
he's forever Snape to me.
Yeah.
But
rest in peace, Alan Rickman. We love you.
Moment of silence. All right.
Yeah, that was good.
Speaking of Taken, actually, my favorite Taken story.
Yeah.
is that after the second one, they said, will there be a Taken 3? And he says, no, at that point it's just bad parenting. And then someone asks him when Taken 3 is about to come out, why did you do it? And
He's like, because I'm a bad parent. Fuck it.
the article I was reading was like, he then wordlessly symboled the international symbol for money. He just rubbed his fingers together.
Oh, but yeah, I think you're definitely right. Overall, not a bad film, but I mean, we looked it up. This movie came out in 2003. There's definitely, you know, some dated shit in there. But that doesn't make it bad.
Those computers, I was looking at some of those versions of Word Excel and having flashbacks to primary school.
Yeah, that and the phones. You look at the old Nokia and you're like, oh yeah, I remember having one of those, or whatever.
Mobile phones with pull-out antennas, that's crazy.
Yeah, when you see that, you're just like, is this a bit?
I saw some of this and I'm like, I'm sure computers were better back then.
Yeah, but no, they weren't. They were beige pieces of shit. But they were cutting edge at the time.
They were.
But I think not a bad film overall. Definitely long, actually, as you said earlier.
Yeah. How many story arcs out of 5?
Look, I'm gonna give it 3 story arcs out of 5.
I might give it a 4.
Yeah, right. It's a lot of story arcs. The snack of the week held up well. I think we ate it all before we actually really started the film.
Yeah, that bacon was gone before the movie in one frame.
If anything, that shows the efficacy of Cameron's bacon roasting.
Yes. Oh, quick shout out to where I got that recipe. 4 Hour Chef by Tim Ferriss. Go pick it up. It is the craziest cookbook I have ever seen.
Nice. Next month, we're going to be checking out Gladiator, which actually, when we brought it up, I recommended this one pretty highly because it's a film I watched and know from when I was like younger. Like when we first got a DVD player, it was one of the films, and I was just like, oh yes. But it was also one of those films I watched so much, when a certain bit came on, I'd be like, oh, I'm this far through the film, I don't need to see anymore, and would turn it off, because it is a long film. You're in for a treat, Cameron.
Looking forward to it, yeah.
You're going to get a little bit more cultured. Alright,
thanks everyone for joining us this month. Next month, as we said, Gladiator. Send us your suggestions for movies, facebook.com/unculturedpodcast, unculturedpod@gmail.com, or hang around and we'll see you next month. I'm Cameron.
And I'm Josh.
See you next time.
Bye.